And we're live. Thank you for joining us for SampleServe Masterclass Wednesdays. I am Joshua Paul, Product Manager of SampleServe, and with me I have Russell Schindler, Founder and CEO of SampleServe. He's been in the environmental game for quite a many years. Say hi, Russell.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Today we're going to be talking about In-Situ and SampleServe, and we're covering a few integration things that we'd like to talk about. But first, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat even after this is over. We like to get the questions and comments during the show. But if the show ends, you can still make comments and everything, and we'll get to it. And also, if you think this is going to be helpful to anybody, give this a video a share. Links stay the same after this is over, and you can share this to anybody you'd like. And so on these shows, we like to bring on experts in the industry. We like to talk about tips and tricks with our application. And we like to talk about the industry in general and how it's growing and changing. And we usually talk about our Sample E&V product on Wednesdays. Sample E&V is for environmental professionals. It can be used with wastewater, drinking water, groundwater, air, soil vapor, all kinds of things. And today we're going to be talking about In-Situ and SampleServe. So recently, about 2 months ago, we released a new feature in our app where you can essentially Bluetooth connect your In-Situ aquatrol meters to the SampleServe app so that automatically collects data when you're low flow sampling. You don't have to read anything from a separate app. You don't have to switch between apps or anything. You don't have to essentially do much because it happens while you're sampling and while you're getting your stabilization readings.
Yeah, it just makes working in the field a lot easier. You can do some other things, go to the next well, because it's just going to all happen automatically. So you can get more done in less time and not have to worry about typing things in properly or, it just records everything automatically. You set it all up so it's going to work just like you want it to work. But one of the other things that we built into this is it's going to record, your flow rate that you had before. So if you do adjust the flow rate, you can edit that and change the flow rate. And it'll also repeat the depth to groundwater that you put in there. Again, you can edit it. If the groundwater does drop, you can edit that. But, most people have done low flow sampling. They know that after, 3-4 readings, the groundwater drawdown, depending on your flow rate and your, exact situation, tends to stabilize, right? So
yeah,
you don't have to, it'll be the same drawdown every time. You don't have to worry about re-entering it every time. So we just made it so that you basically have to work less and work smarter, and then it allows you to kind of move on to the next well, get it open, let it stabilize before you move over there and sample. So just, makes things a lot easier and a lot smoother.
Right. I think to get the viewers a little bit more information, let's show them a little video that we made. Sure. We went out in the field with one of our users. He's a kind of a local guy. He does a lot of groundwater sampling, and he uses In-Situ meters and he uses the SampleServe app. So we asked him if we could follow him around for a day. So let's watch this little short video first.
My name is Dave Alper. I'm with H2O Investigations. We're a company out of Skoda, Michigan. Today we're doing a new site that just opened up, and I'm sure glad I have SampleServe and In-Situ here to help me out today.
Meet the future of environmental sampling with In-Situ aquatrol meters and the SampleServe field data collection app.
This is a time saver. No longer will I have to stand there and just monitor my tablet and punch in numbers every 3 minutes.
Experience seamless integration that automates the sample collection process, eliminating the need for repetitive data entry.
I can take care of some other business. I can search out older wells that I need to find. With a second set of equipment, I can even get hooked up and be doing 2 wells at once. It's going to be a tremendous time saver for us. More productivity.
SampleServe and In-Situ, seamless integration for easy and accurate digital data collection. Set up your projects and start sampling digitally for free at SampleServe.com.
So Dave is a good friend of ours. We've gone out in the field with him a couple times and tested some new features out and everything. Yep. And Dave really enjoys this new feature.
Yeah, he's our guinea pig, and this is, we've done a lot of things and made incremental improvements, but this is the one he's the most excited about. So
yeah,
happy.
And this is, understanding your customers' needs. Like, this is one of the aspects that I really enjoy with working with SampleServe, is that we really are very close to a lot of our users, and we get a lot of our input from current users, and all of our new features you see that come out are always they stem from conversations with our users. The app got built originally from Russell being in the field, doing what Dave was doing for decades, and coming up with all these ideas about what should be happening in the field. And then
as somebody who's sampled literally thousands of wells over my career, probably into the tens of thousands, I'm actually jealous of this, right? I spent my whole career like having to write this stuff down. In-Situ came out with their own app to do very similar to what we're doing in terms of the recording the data, and I use that all the time because it really saved a lot of time. Right. But our app and our whole platform does a whole bunch more than just the meter integration. We do all kinds of other things, print labels, that kind of stuff. It's a whole project management tool. And then, so being able to, and we actually worked with In-Situ to kind of help build their app, and we were one of their guinea pigs early on. Mm-hmm. And so we've had a relationship with In-Situ for a long time. But I can say, I wish I would have had this when I was doing those 10,000 plus wells, because I would have gotten them all done sooner. The output would have been better. I'd have been able to get more done in less time, and I would have made more money. That's really the bottom line, right? If I can kind of move ahead and let the automation take over, I can actually get 20% more done every day. And so those days that would have, where I was on the road for 4 days sampling wells, I could turn that into 3 days. So it just really would have helped me out a lot.
Now, we were going to have Tyler with In-Situ join us today for some questions and comments, but something came up that he had a big thing come on his plate last minute. So we're going to actually have him on a little bit of a couple of weeks from now. So right now we're really just going to go over the integration and how it essentially helps our users, and what we see coming in the future as well. I think the real world benefits of this integration is that there's more coming, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But with some of our other users, Russell, do you see that they'll be switching more to using In-Situ meters now that we have this integration working?
Oh yeah. So the distribution of our app in general is, blowing up. We get more and more users all the time, and it's only going to help In-Situ sell more meters, right? And that's really kind of how, when I approached them about this whole thing, I'm like, hey, people really like our app, and some of them are already using your meters, some are using other meters, but without the In-Situ pairing, and being able to pull the data in, they got to type every value in every 3 minutes or 5 minutes, or how often they're taking a reading. They have to type it in, which it's not a huge labor output, but it is an attention output. You got to be there, right, every 3 minutes. Well, now it just happens automatically, and you can step away and go and open up the next well, or find the next well, or start setting up your barriers around the next well, so that when you get there and this one's ready to be sampled, you can finish sampling and you can move over, and it saves you 5-10 minutes of time that you were just standing there typing numbers in, that can be used for something else. And that's really the part that, as a owner of the company, and we had people out sampling and stuff, I was always very conscientious about how long it took you to move from one location to the next, right? You can't really speed up the sampling process, because it's just a whole stabilization based on the pumping rate and your drawdown, and the particular specifics of that aquifer. It's going to sample in the amount of time that it's going to sample, and then the next time you go out there, it's going to be very similar. But what you can speed up is how long it takes you to get from one location to the next location. So I actually used to measure that, right? That was one of my KPIs, my key product indicators on a person sampling, was I would see when they collected the sample, the timestamp, and then I would see when they took their first reading on their next location.
Mhm.
Just measure that time difference. And, you know,
Yeah.
some people were, you know, people that were taking 30, 40 minutes to get from one to the other, you know, they tended not to work for us for very long. And
Yeah.
the people who were in the 10 to 20 minute range, you know, and if you add those up, you add up a 20-minute savings every time, you know, and you're doing 8, 10 samples a day, all of a sudden you've got an hour or two more in the day that you could get more stuff done. You could sample
Right.
one more well, maybe 2 more wells, and just be that much more profitable.
And low flow stabilization, the data input process is very heavy for a user that's doing this stuff on paper. I mean, you can see in this little screenshot right here that's on the app. This is our low flow page right here. This is all data that you'd have to be entering, you know, either manually or into, you know, a notes app or like a form builder app or something like that. Something that's not necessarily built and knows exactly what you're doing. You know, this has the low flow calculator is going to calculate, you know, your next reading time automatically by your input, and it's going to automatically have that data exportable when you're done in a format that is going to be, you know, built for environmental professionals. And I think that that's one of the biggest time savers is that this data that you're entering that's coming in from the meter automatically is automatically pushed to the cloud when you're done in the field, and you don't have to re-enter any of this data when you're done. And that's one of the biggest advantages to using something like SampleServe.
Well, and also it, you know, it does the calculations for you, so it saves you that mental effort, which is not a big thing. But, you know, some people do make mistakes in doing the stabilizations. We follow the US EPA methodology to a T. And if they update it, we update the app. And it also keeps people honest, you know, quite frankly.
Yeah.
If you're writing it down and you're trying to do more every day, you may, you know, be tempted to kind of fudge the numbers. This just keeps you, you know, keeps the numbers what the numbers are and the stabilization. And then when you're, you know, you're looking at the data, there's no question that everything's going to be accurate.
Right.
And there are, you know, exceptions. Everything, you know, I've sampled lots of wells. There's times when some things just don't stabilize. It could be temperature. Most commonly, it's like turbidity. But some of those things don't stabilize, and you can bypass that. You know, make a note why you bypassed it, and then take your sample. So
right.
Yeah. So we've accounted for all those little anomalies that happen, and they're built in. And probably the best part about this whole thing, Josh, that we haven't mentioned yet, is it's actually free.
Oh yeah.
So you get to use this app at no cost.
We do forget to mention that all the time, don't we?
I know we forget that.
Well,
so you can Apple and Google. You can go there, download the app, and start using it today if you want to.
Yeah.
There's no cost.
It all starts with setting up your projects. We call it the project management tool, where you essentially add the locations that you think you're going to be sampling, or if you don't know, you can add the sample locations on the fly in the app out in the field. And you know, you can set your tests up, build all kinds of forms so you can collect any kind of data you'd like. There's some integrated forms, like if you're doing low flow sampling, there are some forms already built in there. As you see, we got elevation, equipment setup data, and low flow data that automatically show up because we know what type of information you're going to be collecting when you're doing certain kind of workflows. But there's also customized data inputs that you can put. You can take pictures, you know, any kind of multiple choice options, text, numbers, signatures, all kinds of form setups that you can do, and all this data is easily exportable afterwards.
Yeah, and all of it's free. All that's free.
And all it's free. Yes.
And the way we make money is that we have this great reporting package at the back end where you can do all kinds of graphics.
Yeah.
It's not required, but most of our customers opt in and pay for the reporting package.
Yeah.
But if you decide you don't want to, you don't have to. You can keep using it. We're going to probably try and convince you at some point in the future to opt into the reporting, but if you don't, that's fine.
So one of the things that's we're talking about with companies like In-Situ, who we've partnered with their meter integrations. In-Situ also does a lot of equipment rental and sales.
Right.
So one special aspect about using SampleServe is that we know a lot of the equipment uses and requirements for your upcoming projects just by you entering your work scope into the app. We know, all kinds of data points, how much tubing you're going to use, what kind of, if you're going to need a pump, all this information. We know that So we can offer you to rent or buy some of that equipment during the project setup. So it's all in one place at the time of project setup. So you're not going to other places and, writing down what you're going to need and trying to remember what you're going to need and then trying to remember to order that stuff on time. This can all happen while you are setting up your work scope for going out in the field.
Right.
And
so because we know how deep your wells are, we can order the appropriate amount of tubing for you. If you're doing low flow sampling, you'll need tubing. If you're doing 3 volume purge and maybe you just use a baler, we know how many balers you're going to need because we know how many wells you're going to sample. And if you're doing, let's say, metals, a dissolved metals analysis, I know you're going to need a field filter. And so we can order those field filters for you, right? By not having to do anything other than go, here's what we believe you need. You can edit that and then place the order right through there. And that would include gloves and other expendable type stuffs that you might go through. And so that's kind of the partnership that we've got with In-Situ. And, that's kind of how we're, part of the reason they're participating is that whole process as well.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be, we're going to try to, make it like the Amazon of environmental professionals,
Right.
Everything you need in one hub, you get all the tools you need and maybe even watch a TV show while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning more about the SampleEnv platform, you can go to our website, SampleServe.com, and just click on virtual demo. The buttons placed all over the website, and you can see a video walkthrough of all the aspects from project setup to the field app to digital chain of custody to report graphics. And you can get a great understanding. It only takes about 20 minutes to go through each one. You can follow each video. Each video is only about 3 minutes each, so you can click on the ones that you'd like to watch. And you can also schedule a live demo on that page as well. So I highly suggest, if you're interested, go there, watch what we got, and sign up. It's free. There's no user fees, no annual fees, no kind of subscriptions or anything like that. You can start getting set up for nothing and start using your In-Situ meter while you're doing low flow stabilizations in the field with our SampleServe app. So I think that's it for us today, Russell.
All right. Well, thanks.
All right. Look out next week for another one, and we'll get Tyler on here probably in September, and we'll go over some of his insights and what's going on with over on his end at In-Situ as well. So with that, we'll see you next week. Thank you guys. Have a good one.